Alright, my name is Matt Johnson. This is my submission for the video assignment for LOGM 228 on June 30th, 2022. My country of choice is France. I was interested in a Western European country and decided on France because I think that culturally France is a world unto itself, and I was interested in how business is conducted over there. Um, there are a lot of French companies that transact business in the United States, especially a lot of chemical companies. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for American companies to do business with these French companies. Culturally, France is very friendly and close in their greetings. They place great emphasis on friends and family. They have more informal greetings for friends and family and more formal greetings for people who they might not know quite as well. And in business, business contacts tend to exchange business cards after they're introduced for the first time. And it's common to use professional or business titles like president, doctor, director general, office manager, secretary when when talking with somebody who has one of those positions or titles. Gift giving is not typical, especially in business. The French tend to shy away from public showings of generosity, and they don't want to be accused of bribery or favoritism or any other improprieties that may result from gift giving. The first cultural practice I've chosen to focus on is personal versus impersonal relationships. There's a website called Global Road Warrior that provides information on various countries around the world, information on things like geography, culture, the economy, the demographics, major religions, arts, things like that. And within business, they provide a scale for different aspects of the negotiation process, which provides insight into how a country views its negotiations. The cultural tendency for contracts ranges from 1.0, which is more contract focused, to 5.0, which is more relationship focused. The United States ranks 2.0, and France ranks 5.0. This means that the US tends to lean more towards being contract focused rather than placing an emphasis quite as much on relationships. According to Global Road Warrior, in France, the business relationship is of paramount importance. Business is typically conducted between friends, so there's an emphasis on forming close relationships. There will typically be an initial social meeting, kind of a getting to know everybody meeting, so that everybody knows who it is that they're going to be working with during the process and gets to know them. There will probably be a lot of personal questions asked that have very little to do with business. Questions about family, educational background, hometown, things like that. A person who is not familiar with doing business in France may be caught off guard by. And then before each business meeting, there tends to be a period of some friendly small talk back and forth before the business gets underway. In the US, Americans are very rule oriented. Americans believe that the real strength of an agreement lies in written terms, so they negotiate over issues first and then with people. The second cultural practice I've decided to focus on is the concept of time. On the same scale provided by Global Road Warrior for time sensitivity, the US is ranked 5.0, which is the maximum, meaning they're highly time sensitive, while France is ranked 1.0, which is the minimum, meaning they're not time sensitive. Meetings and decision making in France tend to take longer than foreigners may expect. Meetings are often canceled at the last minute, and when the meetings do happen, they may run much longer than expected. Interruptions are frequent during these meetings. The person leading the discussions might take a phone call from a family member for a little while. Their colleagues may drop in, even if it's a one-on-one session. So these types of interruptions may drag out the process a little bit and may frustrate somebody who's not quite as accustomed to that. In the US, Americans are very time sensitive. Meetings start on time, and participants are expected to be on time, if not early. When I was growing up, a saying that I always heard is to be early is to be on time. If there's a lag in the process, it's likely not a strategy, not a negotiation tactic, but a sign that thoughtful decision making is actually taking place. And if you ask about these delays, Americans will likely be very honest and upfront because likely they're upset about the delay as well. It might be something that's outside of their control that they might be upset about, but they can't push past it. By researching a country's culture before doing business in that country or with that country, you have the opportunity to learn about the cultural differences that may affect the process. This is good for several reasons. One is that you have an idea of what to expect and won't be caught off guard. Another is that you can be sure to avoid doing things that may offend the foreign party, potentially leading to a loss of that business. In France, for example, some things that may be offensive are trying to speed the meeting along, calling people out for indulging in the interruptions, trying to push through all the small talk and say, well, let's get down to business. These things are considered offensive to the French people because they pride their close relationships between the people who are doing business. And so these types of things may lead to some offense. In today's world, cultural sensitivity is highly valued and expected, and it's important to be aware of this when conducting business internationally. From this project, I learned that not all countries transact business the same way, and these differences can lead to unrealistic expectations or potential faux pas or offenses. These are things that can and should be avoided in order to successfully negotiate with international companies. This can lead to an increase in business that might not otherwise be available domestically. There are a lot of opportunities overseas to lower costs, procure parts or even services overseas, especially from East Asia, and these can often be acquired cheaper than they can domestically. And with this globalization of the economies and the internationalization of business, there needs to be this I feel like there also needs to be this idea that cultural sensitivity is respected so that the business can be transacted successfully. Because by not being culturally sensitive, you're doing yourself a disservice by potentially costing your company important business. Thanks.